Step 1 becoming pass or fail in January 2022, and with the cancellation of Step 2 CS, I believe that Step 3 has become even more important than it was before, especially for international medical graduates. So in this video, let's focus on exam format, the most commonly tested topics or the high-yield topics for Step 3, the passing score and the average scores, as well as costs and some budget tips. The USMLE Step 3 is a computerized exam that is usually done in the intern year of residency. It typically has to be done by second year of residency. But if you're an IMG with exam attempts or you are an older graduate, this is an exam that can improve your chances of matching. So doing it prior to applying or during the application season can be very, very important for you to match. The Step 3 exam has always been in a league of its own because it is the only STEP exam that is a 2-day exam. So on this slide, I just have Tuesday and Wednesday here to highlight that fact, but it can be done on any day of the week. It can be completed on 2 consecutive days, like in this example right here. Or you can have some space between the days. Like let's say you do day 1 on Monday, then do day 2 on Wednesday. Or like in this example, do day 1 on Monday, then day 2 on Friday. So basically, you can do the Step 3 exam days apart, a week apart, or consecutively. It all depends on what you think is best and how your schedule is. So let's focus a bit on day 1 of the Step 3 exam. Day 1 is purely a multiple choice question exam. There are about 232 questions that are divided into 6 blocks containing 38 to 39 questions each. To complete these 38 to 39 questions in each block, you have 60 minutes. So that's one block, 60 minutes to complete that single block. Prior to starting those 6 blocks of multiple choice questions, you have an optional 5-minute tutorial. At this point of your medical journey, you have already done Step 1 and Step 2 CK. So I would advise that you just skip the tutorial so that it can be added to your break time. And speaking of break time, you have 45 minutes of break time allotted to you. You can divide your break time in whichever way that you see fit. If you finish a block earlier, this could also be added to your break time, or you could just finish the exam earlier. So if you skip the tutorial, you can have that extra 5 minutes for your break. So that would leave you with 50 minutes in total for a break. And like I said before, if you finish your blocks earlier, then this can also be added to your break time, or you can just use it to finish the day earlier, I guess, so that you can prepare for day 2. So in total for day 1, you have about 7 hours. So remember, day 1 is purely multiple choice questions. You have about 232 questions that are divided into 6 blocks. For each block, that is an hour to complete those questions. And then you have 45 minutes for an allocated break and 5 minutes for an optional tutorial. But you can skip that tutorial so that you have 50 minutes of break time. So that's, to be exact, 6 hours and 50 minutes total, but I just rounded it up to 7 hours. If you are enjoying this video so far, please be sure to power up that like button. It lets me know what type of content you like so that I can keep on creating more. And make sure that you subscribe to MD Powerhouse so that you never miss another video. Now let's take a look at day 2. So day 2 is longer. To be exact, 2 hours longer. It lasts 9 hours. And unlike day 1, it is not purely a multiple choice question exam day, but we will get into that soon. So you can think about day 2 being broken up into 2 parts. So the first part is also multiple choice questions. There are 180 questions, also divided into 6 blocks. Prior to starting those 6 blocks, you also have another optional 5-minute tutorial. So I know what you're thinking. This sounds pretty similar to day 1, right? Well, there are some major differences. The first difference is that for each block, instead of the 60 minutes that you would get on day 1, on day 2, you get 45 minutes to complete around 30 questions. And remember when I said you can think of day 2 being broken down into 2 parts, right? So the first part was the multiple choice questions. So the second part is that we have a 7-minute tutorial for computer-based case simulations. And after that tutorial, we do 13 cases that can range from 10 to 20 minutes long. For these case simulations, you get to simulate medical situations where you can order labs, physical exams, and also provide different treatment options for that patient. Being well prepared for these cases is very, very crucial. If you think that I should make a video dedicated to mastering these cases, please leave it in the comment section below and let me know. For day 2, you also have a 45-minute break allotted to you as well as the 5-minute tutorial for the multiple choice questions and the 7-minute tutorial for the case simulations. So in summary, for day 2, it lasts for 9 hours. It can be divided into 2 parts where you have multiple choice questions that have 180 questions, 6 blocks each, and you have 45 minutes to complete each block. Then you have 13 case simulations, and they can range from 10 to 20 minutes in length. So all in all, the Step 3 exam format is that it's a 2-day exam. In total, it lasts around 16 hours, comprising of multiple choice questions and case simulations. And it is all a computer exam. Another thing I want to highlight is that as of recording this video, although it is a computer exam, it can only be done in the United States. If this video has been helpful to you so far, please be sure to power up that like button and share it with a friend so that they can also have some helpful information too. Now let's discuss something that everyone should know for every USMLE exam, which is the content outline. We will focus on the most commonly tested topics for Step 3. The most commonly tested topic for the USMLE Step 3 is biostatistics. That can constitute 11 to 13% of the exam. So this is a topic that has to be mastered before exam day. If you want to find out the best resources to master these commonly tested topics, be sure to watch this video until the end. The second most commonly tested topic is the cardiovascular system at 9 to 11%. Then we have the respiratory system at 8 to 10%. And then to round out our top 4 of our most commonly tested topics for the Step 3 is neurology. So here is a summary of everything that I just mentioned. These are the most commonly tested topics for the USMLE Step 3. So let's look at the other topics. We have obstetrics and gynecology at 7 to 9%. Ethics at 7 to 9% as well. So once you're done with Step 1, be sure to keep those ethics notes. Next, we have the GI system at 6 to 8%. And tying with the GI system is the immune system at 6 to 8%. And here is a summary of those 4 high-yield topics that I just mentioned. The endocrine system and the musculoskeletal system both can constitute up to 5 to 7% of the Step 3 exam. Dermatology and the renal system can constitute 4 to 6% of the exam. Behavioral health also can constitute 4 to 6% of the exam as well. And there we have a summary of everything that we just mentioned. If you have reached this far into the video, thank you so much. And be sure to power up that like button. So as you can see, the Step 3 exam is not the same as Step 1 or Step 2 CK. So we have to have a specialized approach to this exam. Of course, doing practice questions, as well as supplementary textbooks or even Anki flashcards, those are like the backbone of preparing for USMLE Step exams. But for Step 3, we have to consider the computer case simulations. And we also have to prepare for the fact that this is a 16-hour exam that spans across 2 days. So you might be wondering, how can I prepare for the USMLE Step 3? And of course, we have to mention the first resource, which everyone can probably say it with me in 1, 2, 3, UWorld. Yes, so UWorld has over 1,600 questions for the Step 3 exam. And because biostats preoccupies most of the exam, like I mentioned before, people buy the biostats QBank from UWorld as well. It's also important that I mention that UWorld does offer about 40 to 50 practice case simulations. However, I found that the best practice for these case simulations is from a site called ccscases.com. They have about 100 cases and it most resembles exam day. Because they have so many cases, you're bound to see some similarities on exam day. And also because of how the program is set up as well, it closely resembles exam day, like how it would look on the actual exam. So all in all, the top 2 resources that I believe that everyone should use is UWorld and the ccscases.com. They are excellent. Aside from that, if you want a textbook, you can use Master the Board Step 3 or First Aid, I believe, also has a Step 3 book too that people seem to like. Another resource that of course pops up for every step is Anki. I do believe that there is an Anki deck out there for Step 3 that is very useful. So as you probably know, for Step 1 on usmle.org, you can find free 120 or free 120 questions that you can do. So you have that for Step 1 and for Step 2 CK. For Step 3, it is the same. However, there are 137 free questions that can be found on the USMLE website for Step 3. And you also have NBMEs as well that you can do as practice tests. And if you want to know when the NBME will be releasing the explanations for the Step 3 NBMEs, then check out this video right here. I also forgot to mention that UWorld does have self-assessments as well as they do for all the other steps. So you can have all those different practice exams from the NBME and from UWorld. Now let's take a look at the cost of these resources. So UWorld, for a 3-month subscription as well as access to 2 self-assessments, that costs $3.99. However, for access for 6 months and 2 self-assessments, that is $449. Also, because biostats is so prevalent on the exam, a lot of people also purchase the biostats offered by UWorld for an additional $25. And on to the NBME practice tests. So each NBME costs $60. And it's up to you whether you want to purchase 1 or 2. But for the USMLE Step 3, 2 NBMEs are available. And as of recording this video, the cost of the Master the Boards for Step 3, it costs $33.49. And remember that website I told you about, ccscases.com? Well, that costs $75 for a subscription for a year. So all in all, if you get the 3-month UWord subscription and one of the NBMEs and everything else that I just mentioned, that would lead to a total of $567.49. Now, you don't have to get all of these resources, but I am telling you the most commonly used resources to prepare for the USMLE Step 3. Now, let's move on to some budget tips. The first one is choose your resources wisely. Of course, less resources equals less money. Also, be sure to plan accordingly. If you purchase a 3-month subscription and you have to extend it, that costs even more money. And also be honest with yourself. Some people will say, hey, all you need is UWorld and that's it, you'll be fine. But honestly, everybody is different, everybody learns differently, and everyone has a different baseline. And some people aren't the best performers when it comes to like taking exams, whether it be due to test anxiety. So be sure to be honest with yourself and know which resources will work best for you. So the Step 3 exam has always been important, but now it's even more so, like very, very important. So you might be wondering, why is the Step 3 exam so important? Well, first, medical license. You have to pass the USMLE Step 3 in order to obtain a US medical license. And this is for everyone, IMGs and US medical graduates. If you want to pursue a fellowship, whether it is cardiology or gastroenterology, the Step 3 scores are important. And the next reason why the Step 3 score is important, because if you think about it, the Step 3 score is one of 2 3-digit scores that directors will see. So remember that Step 1 will be discontinued in January 2022 and that the Step 2 CS has been discontinued. So that just leaves us with the Step 2 grade and the Step 3 grade. Well, to be more specific, they're 3-digit scores. And finally, the USMLE Step 3 exam is very important for international medical graduates. And let's break down the reasons why. Doing the Step 3 exam and passing it reassures programs that you do not run the risk of failing the test during your residency. Also, if you have any attempts exam attempts or any red flags in your application, this also reassures programs that you can excel in the steps and they don't have to worry about you passing, because programs do care about their pass rate for their residency programs. And next is dedication. So when an IMG does the Step 3 exam prior to starting residency, it basically lets the programs know that you can be fully dedicated to the in-training exams during training and that they don't have to, again, worry about whether or not you will pass the Step 3 exam or if you can manage doing both the in-training exams and preparing for the Step 3. So basically, when an IMG does the USMLE Step 3 and passes it, it provides reassurance for the program director. It shows that you will be dedicated and you are dedicated to medical training. And this all leads to convincing programs to potentially offer you an interview or choose you to join their program or even choose you over another candidate. However, I just want to highlight that despite these pros of having the Step 3 score as an IMG, if you aren't ready for the exam, it's best to be honest with yourself, because if you do it and then you fail, that will just count against you. So despite the pros, that is a big con that you should be aware of. Another con is that you would have to pay for the exam yourself. Most programs, and probably all programs, actually pay for you to do the step 3 once you're in their residency program. But if you do it beforehand, then you will have to pay for it. And speaking of paying for it, the cost of this exam for this year is $895. And of course, that is in US dollars. So currently, the passing score for the USMLE Step 3 is 198. It has increased from 196 to 198 from January of 2020. And the average score that examinees get for the USMLE Step 3 is approximately 226. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this content, please be sure to power up that like button, hit subscribe, and that notification bell. And if you have any questions at all about anything that I discussed or anything else that's on your mind, please leave it in the comment section below. And the winner of the $50 Amazon gift card is Summer. Congrats! Please be sure to leave your email in the comment section below before Monday, February 8th.